Yes, and very, very worrisome one. 19 states are still owing salaries as at this date right now, and despite the various bailouts released by the federal government to states, including the recently released Paris Club refund to offset backlog of workers' salaries and pension arrears, the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, ASCN or ASCSN, a tongue twister there, says about 19 states are still owing workers' salaries.
In July 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari ordered the release of the first batch of bailout fund, which is about 300 billion naira, to enable state governors settle outstanding salary and pension arrears. The federal government then again gave out another 90 billion naira to 22 states as bailout under very stringent conditions. In June 2016, after the first one failed to produce desired result, those are questioned, why did that fail at all to even produce any result?
Indeed. In December 2016, President Buhari ordered the release of about 522 billion naira to all 36 states in the first tranche of the Paris Club refund. The federal government later released the sum of 388.304 billion naira out of the 522 billion naira. That's about 25% release there. Now, here are the 6 states who got the largest share and 5 who got the lowest.
Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, Lagos, and Katsina states got the largest share of the first tranche of the Paris refund. The 6 states got approximately 14.5 billion naira each. Well, one of the states, actually, Rivers State, came out and said no, they didn't get what they said they got. They got a lesser figure.
Yes, indeed. Well, joining us now from Abuja is the head of industrial relations of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Ima Ubwaja. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you on the show. Now, all these figures, if you wanted to work out the math, is totally mind-boggling at 1.3 billion, 90 billion, 25% of 522 billion, and all of that. Yet 19 states are owing salaries. Association of Civil Servants say they're going on strike, but it looks like the strikes have not worked, and dialogue hasn't worked either. So what is really the way out of this quagmire?
Well, it's to consistently pressure the governors to do what is right. The president saw clearly that the governors have taken payment of salaries as an auxiliary assignment. That's why he had to resort to a kind of compulsion, informing them on the need to do what is right. And therefore pressurizing them to say, hey, you get the Paris funds, but you have to apply a certain percentage of it to payment of salaries and pensions. But clearly, the understanding he had with them, I guess, is to apply 50% of whatever they get from these refunds on the salaries and pensions of workers. So it's not the entire sum that is being put to payment of salaries and pensions, and even the understandably agreed 50% is also not being clearly applied because they keep coming with all manner of explanations, just like you have said. If Rivers will tell you what was published is not what they got, they were bold to say that, then you can imagine the kind of heat we receive from them when we go to one-on-one discussions on actually what is the receipt that they have. So, but it's so sad that they are flying around, they are doing other things, but they are refusing to pay the human resource that ordinarily should be the engine room that drives governance.
All right, so what's your take on the issue of the allegation of governors diverting these funds for something else? For instance, in Edo State, there is the allegation of putting the money in a fixed deposit. And that's the state got about 11.3 billion, talking about the refund now. And a statement came out from the governor's office denying that, but it says the money belongs to Edo State. So Edo State can spend it however it sees fit.
Yeah, that was the point I was making. This is a democracy. It's not a military regime. You cannot compel any states. Those are free, independent bodies. But morally, it's not making sense. And that is why you will be shocked people keep winning elections even when they're not doing what is right. And that is the confusion that drives all of us. You don't pay salaries. You owe people pensions, 18 months, 3 years, 9 months arrears of salary, and at the end of the day you say the same people voted into power. It doesn't make sense. So when we say there is a clear confusion with regards to how people come into power, this is what it's about, because clear, normal, responsible reasoning will show you that something must give if you're as harsh and callous as this to the people you govern. But in Nigeria, it's shocking. You owe people salaries, their children are at home, they are suffering, and at the end of the day, you say they overwhelmingly voted for you. It doesn't make sense. So for us, it's become a challenge.
If I could...
we went to our NEC meeting and...
sorry to cut in there because of we're pressed for time, of course. Now, the president had approved viament, of course, for salary payments in the National Assembly, but no further action has been heard. What can you tell us about that?
For the federal civil servants, I guess they're getting their pay. The challenge we have is particularly with the states. Okay. You have terrible states like Kogi. You mentioned Bayelsa as having gotten a huge sum during the bailout, but you'll be shocked to know that Bayelsa is owing areas of salary beyond the 3 months level we have given. But you must also admire, and I will not hesitate to mention here, one of the bright lights in the course of this. The Jigawa state government is not owing a dime of pension, is not owing a dime of gratuity, is not owing a dime of salary, and it's not oil producing. It's unbelievable. So we need to shine light on such great administrators that are doing what is right, so that those that don't know what to do can go and learn. It is possible to pay salaries. And
that's what some people have said, that some states are not owing salaries at all. So why go for the bailout fund?
In the first place,
since you're not owing, allow the states that need this money get the money instead of giving it to them, and they will probably use it for some projects.
The example I've given to you, you go check the records. Jigawa never applied for bailout. They never applied for bailout. We must shine light on those that are doing what is right. And we don't hesitate to shame those of them that are doing the wrong stuff.
And we do hear that many of the states that have not paid for upwards of 7 months, some of them are paying half salary, especially southwest states. How is that playing out? Is that acceptable by the NLC? Like we say in this part, half bread is better than none at all.
No, we have told them there is no provision in the law where people get paid half salaries. Pay people their salaries. When you have, because the idea is at the end you pay half salaries into 3 or 4 months, and then you confuse the poor folks. It becomes impossible to know what month has been paid and what month has not been paid. So you go ahead and pay salary. Salary is to be paid monthly. It's not to be paid in percentages. And that is the evil genius application they have resorted to.
All right. You have absorbed the federal government.
And we are taking steps. We're fighting such.
All right, you have absorbed the federal government of not owing salaries. What about pensions? There are issues and complaint that the government is not even following the Pension Reform Act that says a certain percentage should be given, like 15, but what the government remit is at between 8 and 11%. What's your take on that?
No, for pensions is a national malice. Both the federal government and the states are culpable. But the states are worse. The federal government, through PITAD, is taking steps. The pension reform has an operational base, a takeoff base. So part of the problem the federal has particularly is with regards to those that have not fallen into the contributory pension category. With regards to the contributory pension category, it's kind of seamless. That aspect, there is no challenge there. The challenge is with particular reference to those that fell below the cutoff for the takeoff of the contributory pension. So it's not, we keep, we're on top of this, we're following them up because as long as you have the trade unions, we're not going to slip over our rights, and we'll continue to speak out. But like I said, the pain and the challenge is when you see folks do the wrong stuff and they end up telling you they win elections. We must continue to dig deeper into the challenge Nigeria is having.
Okay, now the acting, when the vice president was acting, of course, he had promised to look into the problem of non-payment of salaries by the states. I wonder how much work has been done as far as that's concerned. And how is the NLC taking the large hauls of monies here and there with the Kogi Gate and all the other millions of dollars being discovered here and there by the EFCC? Would you say that such monies should be used to pay salaries?
It's not that simplistic. We have always consistently maintained that our country can work, and these homogeneous sums that are picking from all manner of places, including the Facebook graveyards of the information minister, clearly show the need why we keep pressing for minimum wage. The decent minimum wage correctly applied will make these folks not have any monies to go and hide. But when you pretend that there is no money, then you leave them with loads of cash to keep looking for where to stash. So let's do what is right and pay a decent living wage.
All right,
and then
Sarah,
you can be sure the money legitimately.
All right, Iman, Sarah, a civil society organization calls the Attorney General to investigate the 35 state governors in terms of the funds and not payment of salary. Would you add your voice to that, NLC?
The challenge is not the Attorney General investigating anybody. We must follow the due process. These guys have state assemblies. If you do what is wrong, you should be impeached. You don't need the Federal Attorney General to tell the governor of Abia State or Bayelsa State or Kogi State to pay salaries. That is when we begin to want to heat up the polity by chasing shadows. We should take the fight to where it belongs. These guys should do the right thing and not hide under we are interfering with our process. They'll be too glad to have the Federal Attorney General interfere with them, and then they will tell you the matter is in court and we can't talk. We don't want such diversions.
All right, Ima Uwaja, Head of Industrial Relations of the Nigerian Labour Congress, thank you so much for your time on TVC Breakfast.